A Chapter 7 is your straight, full-blown bankruptcy. And people believe that they're going to be losing their car, losing their house, and having their employer know. It's very scary. But here's the truth. This is what really happens in a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. You first have not filed another Chapter 7 bankruptcy within 8 years. And the state of Ohio is absolutely amazing. The last time I checked, we were only one of 3 different states where you could have up to like $145,000 in equity for each person entitled to a house. So if you have a husband and wife and they've got $50,000 in equity in their house, it's okay now. The law changed since they started doing these bankruptcies 20 years ago. So now, if you do have up to $300,000 in equity virtually, you can go ahead and file bankruptcy. You might have paid off your house, and now maybe someone had cancer and you're trying to figure out how to get rid of, all of those medical bills. So that would be one reason. And the reason that Ohio did this is they wanted to encourage people, small business owners, to go ahead and start up businesses, but not worry about losing their house if the business failed. So one is, in a Chapter 7, you can keep your car, you can keep your house. That car business, you can't have more than $4,000 in equity in one motor vehicle. So sometimes we shift things around and we do what's called exemption planning, even though you might not file bankruptcy for a year later or so. Also, the Chapter 7 bankruptcy would wipe out all of your credit card debt, except if you made recent purchases, and it would also be wiping out any type of, there's certain things within the government, certain administrative agencies, like for example, an overpayment of Social Security, if you have, oh dear, there's all sorts of things like you wrote bad checks and then the bank is wanting you to pay those, and that's monitored by check systems. And a lot of taxes can be discharged. In a very, very general rule, if you filed all of your taxes and they're over 3 years old, you can get rid of them or have them discharged in bankruptcy, as long as you don't have like sales tax or use tax or any kind of a trust tax. So those are your basic things that would help. Oh, I should probably tell you about the Chapter 13s too. I'm sorry. So for the Chapter 13s, that's a payback bankruptcy, and there's all sorts of good ways where Chapter 13 is much more desirable than filing a Chapter 7. One of the top reasons is if you had gone into a dealership and then the car dealer said, oh, you really need to buy this car, your car's a lemon, we'll just roll anything you owe on the old car into the new car. And then all of a sudden you're paying $30,000 for a $20,000 vehicle, and it's at 29% interest because you were late on a couple of payments when you were laid off. So what we can do is we can take all of your, if you've owned the car at least 910 days, we can take what you owe and cram it down to fair market value. And also we can cram down the interest regardless of if you just bought the car, or if you recently purchased the car, that might be a little bit of a problem. But we can do that, and that enables you to actually pay what the car is worth, pay it at a fair interest rate, and that will help many people out from underneath very large car payments. Another thing that we can do is I try to help you get all of your student loans consolidated prior to filing the bankruptcy. So that way, when we're in the bankruptcy, you're not making a $350 payment, maybe $350 for public and $350 for private. They have to take what you give them over that 5-year period. So for example, you're a teacher, you should have all of your payments consolidated in an income-based repayment plan. So you'd file a Chapter 13 for 5 years, and then if you needed to, you could file for another 5 years, and then your 10-year mark would be met, and then you would be able to have your debts forgiven, and that whole student loan be forgiven at the end. What I'm running into is mothers, single divorced women making $50,000 a year. They have a house payment, a car payment, a public student loan, a private student loan, and they just can't live on that. Literally, they're eating peanut butter and jelly. And this is one of the few things that they can do to survive and keep their house, and try then to get their child, who's still living with them, still going to college, through college, and then they can have a fresh start.